Hello everyone, welcome back to Gelvin Valley for Farming Simulator 15, created by our friend Wild Wes. What is wrong? Do I have these forks pointed? Oh yes, I got them pointed in the wrong direction. Don't mind me, I'm actually trying to do this legit. I know what I make bales and I get them in the field. I kind of take the lazy man's way out and I just auto load. And truth be told, I could be doing that here with all these pallets, but I'm kind of resisting the urge. Truthfully, I wish the trailer, that's something I still need to fix. I wish the trailer, while it didn't have anything attached to it, would auto-load pallets still, so that when I got close, it would just kind of take it off my forks, but I could still have, my little pretend game here of loading it up or pretending that I'm loading it. I've seen some other guys do that with bales in the field, and truthfully it's a pretty good way to do it, because the physics in here, well, they're just kind of wonky. Surely it wouldn't be my driving that's wonky. Oh no. So yep, just loading. I think when I started this session I have 50 minutes, so I do need to, well, what's the worst that'll happen? It'll just charge me another hour for this trailer. If I dilly-dally and take too long, I gotta be careful I don't, I just gotta have eyes in the back of your head with these things, and I don't, so I'm doing the best I can. And I seem to recall the last time when I did this, I wasn't able to put the last pallets on, so I don't know. It's just, and there's an abysmal number of, I can barely see the forks. It's just, I have to try to load these. Yeah, they're, I guess, about right. So just trying to do an honest day's work here and actually do it right. Honestly, if I had all the time in the world, this is probably how I would do it. I've just learned, with the busyness of life, when you're playing a game, there are certain tasks you can automate, and why not? You just don't have all the time in the world to do everything, even if you would, if you had your drugs. Oh, I don't have that all the way down. So, boop. There. Pull it out now. There we go. Kinda ticklish handling these silly pallets. Anyways, I'm trying to get the thing loaded, and like I say, the last pallets I may just try to put beside the trailer and then probably just use the auto load feature and finish loading them that way for hauling. Careful. No. I wonder if I even have the... Boy, that backup sound is just incessant, isn't it? Just incessant. Beep, 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 beep. Kind of drives you nuts. It's okay if you're backing up, but it's just so many other times it has to beep. And not only that, I think you can hear it clear across the map when you're not next to it. Anyway, I'm just grousing. Let me go back to the topic where I kind of left off last episode. This one is, I'm recording it the same day as I did the other one, so it's it's just something that is on my mind as a dad, thinking of the upcoming wedding of my son to his fiance, looking forward to it, and also just, you know, dealing with, well, dealing with sounds bad, but lots of memories just kind of come to the forefront of remembering my boy, my son, that I'm going to give up to someone else's care, to a good lady, which is a wonderful thing. And but still, it's just so many memories. The last time, I mentioned some of the, when he was first born, right out of the gate. We had a few issues breathing. He was making these little grunting sounds, and I thought it was cute. He sounded like a little piglet, but I very soon learned he was having difficulties, and we had to take him to a hospital up in Portland for some special observation. I really don't remember or recall what all they specifically did for him. I kind of wonder if they mainly, the purpose, was just to keep him under observation in case, something went wrong. So we didn't have a hospital like that in the area where we live, so which is in the capital city, Salem. So we had to take him up to Portland, and I think last time I explained some of the things about that place, and I don't remember how long we were there. I was just both thankful, when we could go home with him finally, start living life, and it's just hospitals, they get you coming and going. Oh, don't do that. That isn't good. That's gonna be end up shoving all these off the other side. There, let me set that down. Yeah, I'm gonna need to. Hopefully, I don't throw them all off. When I hook the thing up, if it doesn't shake them all. So we took him home. Oh shoot, I was looking for my notes. Back in just a second. Yeah, I had some notes here beside me on my other screen. I'm too old, I can't remember everything I want to say. So we took him home. He started growing. Wait, what is the deal here? What was it at? Is that an auto? Anyway, something froze. Oop. Get another. Something always needs to go wrong right when I'm trying to farm. We live kind of in a country area just outside the capital city of Oregon. And so my son grew up in the country. He did hopefully all the things other little boys get to do in the country. And, I grew up in the country too. I loved it. My wife also grew up in the country. It's expensive out here to have a home. But we wanted as best we could to have, so for our kids to have the same opportunities, in the country that we did, just to have space. And it's not everybody gets that opportunity, and but we had them out here, so we did all the little boy things that you can do in the country, and went to a little country school, the same one actually for a little while that I went to when I was a kid, because I didn't move very far away from home. The home I'm in now is very close to the home that I grew up in, just down the street. So that's where we landed, and so somewhere in there, the school district, I know I've probably commented on this on a previous episode, they made the decision to close the country school. And the accountant part of me gets it. It's expensive to have more administration for a smaller school. Well, it isn't more. It's just, one of those things. And apparently the school system is short on money, or they always say they are, no matter what kind of... Ooh, I knocked off one of those. Yeah, look at that. Oops. Anyway, part of the good old physics of trying to do this in farming sim here. So they closed the district we were in. They closed the school, or they said they were going to close it. Well, turns out they didn't close it at all. I drive by it every day. There are still kids going to school there, but something must have changed. I don't know. Maybe they repurposed the building to something else that they needed. I really don't know. What I do know is my kids no longer were there. It was kind of a sad deal when it happened. So we, my wife and I, we decided to make, we liked the small school environment for our kids. Our kids liked it too. So there was another country school further out in the country in a different district. We were able to get a transfer for our kids, and so out there they went. It meant we no longer had bus service, so we had to haul the kids to and from and all that. But as they got older, they could drive. Then when they went to high school in that other district, it was at a distance. So yeah, there was some sacrifices, that had to be made for that. But I think if you ask our kids, they appreciate the decision that was made, so they could do that. Hey, how do I drop you off? See, this is a problem I had last time too. Come on, get off of there. There we go, baby. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I thought I had the script installed that would tell me what position the tool was in. Maybe need to check on that, or maybe that's something I still need to implement in this session. Maybe it's another, maybe it's my Tuuringer app that has it up. Anywho, have just one more I think I need to get in there, and then we, folks, are going to be done. And then I can haul this across the way. Don't really know how much longer the hail's going to be going. But anyhow, I digress. So my son grows up in that system, and as he gets into high school, I'm trying to remember grade school. I think he got pretty good grades. Somewhere in there, we tried to do this with all of our kids. He took up piano, and I didn't learn the piano until I was in high school, and I can still play a little bit. Not really well, though. That kind of thing, if you want to do anything decent with it, of course, like anything, you have to practice. Hey, now, look at that. That actually is pretty decent. I think I'm gonna go drop this over here. Just drop it off. Plunk. Yeah. Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? I think I got that one. Alright, here, folks. Here's a moment of truth. Okay, that didn't rattle the cage too bad. Oh, shoot, it's not. Why does it not show the help? This goes on and off all the time. I can never figure out why. Alright, let's check this thing out. Back to here. Show the help. Okay, toggle loading type. Oh, maybe I need product type. That's what I want. Ills, round ills. Whoa, pallets. There we go. So B, load them. Boom. there they all are. Okay, cool. Now, let's head on over and sell them. You know, I didn't even check to see. I don't think it does. It show it to us. Let me just check something here real quick. Like, whoa, $1.20. You know, I don't know if that's on the market system or not. I'm gonna try to remember to look at that at some other point and see if, you know, the price changes or what have you. So, but anywho, my son, as he was growing up, oh yeah, I was on piano. He got really good at it. Learning a few pieces, at least to my ears, he's really good. My oldest daughter also spent a fair amount of time on the piano. She got pretty good at it. She's still pretty decent. None of them really practice at it that much anymore, so I know if they want to maintain that skill, you know, they need to. Maybe that means we need to get him a piano or something. Yeesh, those are expensive. We do have one in the home. My wife and I got from her parents as a wedding gift. So, but anyway, I remember that they played at school, the two of them together, on a piece a time or two. So, I wouldn't say he really enjoyed it, but he was talented at it. You know, he could make those little fingers of his fly and spread, you know, to hit the keys and stuff. And he learned it right. I never really learned how to do it correctly by the time, you know, I got into it or whatever. But that was something he picked up along the way. He wasn't really an athletic type. You know, although in later years, as he got into high school, he did start lifting weights, and you know, he got himself really good at his shape. And now, I mean, oh hey, look at this. There's our little streams. We got a hailstorm. It's melting upstream, so all these little streams in the valley are filling up, and you know, it probably means down in the flat, it is flooding. Oh, I've had trouble with the flooding before in how to work with the water table in here. So, yeah, it's had a few issues. Anywho, my son went to high school. He did really well academically. He was one of the valedictorians at high school. Pulled a straight A. And this is something that's so different in my kids too. My oldest daughter was that way, and my oldest son. You know, I wonder if there's a pattern there, meaning the oldest tend to be more the types, you know, that would do that. But I don't know if that makes any difference or whatever. My other two, on the other hand, let's just say they're much less into academics, or that's kind of that wasn't their preferred mode in high school, shall we say. But I know my second daughter, you know, it's all in what you care about and maybe what you see value in. You know, high school, I would say she basically, well, no, you know what? All of them, because I think on this now, I may be cutting her short, and my youngest son, I think they got out of there at least with a 3.5 GPA. So, I mean, that's still decent, right? But, you know, anyway, it's just, every kid is different. And I guess, you know, my daughter, what was funny to see, to me, is, you know, and see, these kids, they're smart. They're way smarter than I ever was. You know, I think they get their brains from their mom. You know, I just know if she would have tried harder, she could have done really well. And I guess the reason I say she's smart is she was able to skip so much school, and my youngest son was this way too. When I say skip, I mean it's just making excuses to not be there, you know, other extracurricular activities, not necessarily just skipping for skipping's sake. but just it didn't. When I was their age going to school, I was nervous if I ever had to be away from school, and so I tried to be there as often as I could, and all that. Well, not the M. They were totally different. But what amused me about my daughter is, oh, now wait a minute, I better quit talking here so I can make sure I can get this toggle unload sign. Where's back? Right, trailer. Okay, I want it on the trailer. And unload. Hey now. Well, I'm not going to get rich selling wool. But, was I underwater on my cash? I mean, I always forget to look at my bank account before I sell something. Good grief. Now I got this big old long trailer and I probably can't turn the silly thing around. Last time, I can back up this way. Yeah, the neck of the trailer is limiting me on how much it'll let me turn, so... There's even a house in here. You could live by an old selling place. There we go. Actually, by all the lights, I could probably turn it back to the... You know, why don't I just do that now? I don't think I'm going to haul another load. Even though there's several there, I don't think I have enough for a full load. There's my trailer. Return. Return. Boom. Done. Alright, I'm heading back up the mountain. I'll take this route this time. And I'll go move a few more of those. Anyway, I know I struggle getting to the point, but my daughter, what's so funny to me is when she went to college, finally in the field of study in which she's really, really interested in, she is valedictorian of her class. Just nailed it to the wall. And this time, you know, it's the hard stuff, you know, but it's what she's interested in. She wanted to be a vet tech, and so animals. She just loves them. And so she goes to college and just excels. Whereas in high school, it's like, whatever. You know, her priorities and interests were on different things. And kind of ditto with my last son. Like I say, kids are a real kick in the pants. It's interesting. They're so unique. Interesting to watch each one of them. And different ways of looking at the world. So yeah, my son did a really good job in school. He got out. He went to a community college for a couple years, and kind of in the background, by the way, I can't remember how old he was. Maybe 12, somewhere around that age. He started working for a beekeeper, and the beekeeper is married to one of my cousins, so shirt-tail relative, if you will. And over the years, I would say, my observation of my son is that he fell in love with the bees. I don't know that he would particularly describe it that way, but how else can I look at it when he just takes it hook, line, and sinker and falls into these things? He's researching how to keep bees, learning how to do things that he was never taught by his employer. For example, how to make queen bees. You know, when a hive, when a queen in a hive of bees dies, there's a process that the worker bees will go through the way God designed them to create a new queen. You know, they make this stuff called royal jelly, and they feed it to a few eggs, and the royal jelly somehow makes a queen. And sometimes you get several queens, they fight each other, whatever. They get a new queen for the hive. But that's the hard way to do it. You know, when you buy bees, or if you have a non-performing queen, you want to be able to get rid of her and put in a new one, or if there's certain genetics you're pursuing, the way you do that is with the queen that you have, and there's a whole process. It's just fascinating in its own right, where the queens are bred once in their life. Anyway, the bits that I know are because my son learned them, and he's the one rattling it off when he comes home, when he's excited, talking about some new thing he's learned. He figured out how to breed his own queens. And it's with these teeny tiny little tools. He has a special, he calls it a nuke. It's a type of hive that he sets up specifically for the purpose of creating queens. And he deals with these little tiny eggs, and he's manipulating things so that he can create a whole bunch of them. He traps them in these little cages when they're born. He knows exactly how long it's going to take until that they're out of their cells. He knows they need to be mated, and there's a whole process for that. Anyway, it's just amazing. That's why I say I believe he fell in love with bees, because why else would you pursue all that if you didn't have some kind of, hey, get in there. Hey! I gotta smash this into the wall to, come on. Come on. There we go. Alright. Okay. Oops. I'm probably doing damage to myself. Yeah. So anyways, he's working for a beekeeper, and I always, my wife and I, when we were young, we also worked, and I grew up in a large family, as did she. I distinctly remember, my mom and dad encouraging us to work, not only to teach us how to work, which is, I think, important for anybody, to learn, but it also had a purpose. They wanted us to begin saving money for college. My dad was an accountant, and he grew up in a very large family. It was on a farm, and he was the oldest, and was told very early by his own dad, you really should plan on going to college. There isn't enough here for you to become part of the farm. When there's a lot of children, not everybody can become part of the farm. It's just sad reality of life. I don't even know if he would have wanted to do that, but the option just wasn't there. So, he did the same with us, and he told us at the get-go, you are going to pay for your own college education. I'm not going to pay for it. Well, and I know every parent out there will have different philosophies on this kind of thing. I remember growing up with some kids, their parents took it even a step further. You're going to buy your own clothing at home, and so they had an allowance and that kind of thing. Well, I never had that, but it was known, so mom and dad provided everything we needed, but they said, distinctly, you're going to pay for your own college. And I think one of the reasons they did was, to teach a little the concept of saving money, to defer gratification. I mean, these are the words that I put to it now, that they didn't put to it. I mean, they just kind of said it as a matter of fact terms. You're going to pay for your own education. And, when I got to college after working for many, many years as a kid, let me tell you, when you look at the little pot of gold you have, emphasis on the little, from those years working, it's like, I have one shot at this, and I can't screw this up, because if I do, well, then I got to go into debt like everybody else, and that kind of thing. So I think it helped, instill some discipline. So we try to do the same with our kids, and let them know that they were gonna, pay for their own college education, and every single one of them so far has. And, we just try to help them in other ways, taking care of their necessities and some of those things. But so anyhow, he went to community college for a couple years, and then went to a Christian college that's close to home. I went to a state university. He considered it, but ended up going with a private Christian college, which actually was more expensive. But, we did the math, and it turns out, because he was close to home, he could live here. He didn't have any housing expenses like he would have had if he went to the state school. So it almost pretty much penciled out to add in a scholarship or two. I don't remember exactly. And the lad took up accounting, so his accountant daddy was very proud of him for that. Which, he isn't going to pursue the same career, of course, that I had, but, accounting is one of those useful disciplines, and if you understand how it works, it is very applicable to business in helping, because business people need to be able to read a financial statement, and I'm astounded all the time at how financially illiterate a lot of folks out there are. So I know that'll serve him well. But always in the background, he continued working for the beekeeper cousin, and he started building his own hives. It's one thing to work for someone, but he started building his own colonies, and I think now, as of this recording, he has, what did he tell me? Maybe 600 hives-ish, somewhere in there. And he was limited, while he's going to college or school, to how many he could handle, but now he is full-time, self-employed on his own bees. He still works a little bit for the cousin, but he's intending at this point to build a career out of beekeeping, and I'm so proud of him. He's just done wonderful, and is just amazing. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to start your own business and try to make a go of it, and there's so much, of course, he'll get to learn along the way. I say get to versus have to, because if you look at it as have to, well, then you really shouldn't be in business for yourself. But anyhow, we got through college, and he graduated summa cum laude. I don't think they have a valedictorian in college, so summa cum laude is basically that. He almost aced his college career too. He might have had a couple B's in there. So smart kid, and yeah, just another episode here. Y'all heard the bell go off. Very thankful for him. Not even sure why I'm driving down here. Maybe just to kind of bring this back. We are still hailing, so who knows what we'll do the next time now that we've taken care of all the wool. But I'll tell you what, thank you so much for coming along and listening. I'm just a dad babbling in here, reminiscing and thinking about my son. Our children are precious to us. The only thing I guess I would say in closing is, if you have children, little ones at home, hey, hold them, hug them, love them, take good care of them, because very, very quickly you'll be wearing the shoes that I am, and they will be marrying and moving on, and you'll wonder what hit me. Where did the time go? So, love your families and take care of them. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.